All right, so let's say I'm going to sell a video game, right?
Go on.
And I plan to sell 1.7 million units of my video game. I'm very successful businessman.
Well, your ego is a little high.
I started with a small loan of $1 million.
Okay, well, then you could do anything.
Yeah. So let's say I do that, right? And then, even giving me the huge benefit of the doubt, I sell 1.2 million units instead.
Okay.
My math seems a little off, doesn't it?
A lot. Yeah, 500,000 units off. Yeah.
So, this is the case with EA right now, with Battlefront 2.
500,000 units.
Yeah, so NPD, which they release a lot of sales figure estimates along with, digital, or not digital, but physical sales figures. And they estimated that Battlefront 2, it sold about 882,000 units. This was as of, December 8th.
And that's physical units, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have also the fact that most game sales, they say now it's like 40%. And it varies depending on the title. But they're saying about 40% of game sales in general are digital. So, they thought that, so this is actually pretty on point too with what we were saying. So they also estimate, this was Michael Pachter, by the way. He's an analyst. He had estimated that maybe digital sales would have added another 600,000 or so, maybe 588. And these are all ballparks. Like, there's going to be standards of deviation with any of these things. Maybe digital sales in this case only added 450,000. Maybe they added 650,000. We don't know, but no matter how you spin these, Battlefront 2 at the very least sold a couple 100,000 units less than they wanted to.
Yes.
Like, at being very conservative, 300,000. Being, more rambunctious with these predictions, maybe even 500,000. We just don't know.
Which is a lot. And when you were, when this game was announced and then leading up to it in the summer, it was, I think, thought universally that this game would at least compete with COD. Like, it would make a dent in those sales.
And I guess it kind of did. I mean, a lot of games would love to push 1.3 million units or 1.2 million units or whatever.
Absolutely. But COD, what we saw is that COD is selling 5 times the units that this game is. And that's obviously has a big part to do with their microtransactions in their system in EA. But, I mean, it's crazy to see because this game was so hyped. And to see it, I don't want to say fall flat, but I mean...
Well, a little bit.
But really, though, it did.
Yeah, it took a huge chunk out of its sales. Like, 300,000 to 500,000 sales down from your predictions is a lot.
And it's not like the game itself, like the system that they brought out on launch day was a failure. But this amount of sales is still a lot of sales.
Yeah,
they made a lot of money.
Yeah, they did. But they also made a lot less than they thought they were going to.
Yes. Because
you also have the fact that the microtransaction system was turned off, which is something we're going to get to in a minute here, and why that happened and what's going on with that. But you have that, so that system has been off now for a while. They were expecting to rake in consistent money over the course of that being active.
I think a lot of money, too.
And that's been a zero.
Yeah.
Because it's been off. Like, you can't make $1 off it right now. If you go to purchase crystals, it says that the content's not available.
Yeah, you literally can't. It's not, yeah.
So, there's an issue there. There's also an issue with the disparity of what they thought they were going to sell. And then you have the issue of the fact that microtransactions may not return to the game in that same format. So this was something that Blake Jorgensen was talking about at this investor meeting.
I think it was earlier last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, so a lot of this news we are catching up on because we haven't had a lot of time with both of us doing finals and stuff, in school.
Yeah, a lot of catch up, yeah.
But a lot of this is just kind of a compilation of what's been going on with this game since we last talked about it. So one thing that he did say was that over time we'll address how we will want to bring the MTX system, that's the microtransaction system, either into the game or not, and what form we will decide to bring it into. And so that's the thing, is that if he is mentioning that or not is a possibility, that's kind of crazy to me. Like, I'm happy about that, don't get me wrong, but EA turning down a chance to make more money?
That's the thing. I always expected them to bring it back at the very least.
I did too.
At least to add in, and they said free DLC, but I would think even if they brought in like some different character skins, just cosmetically, and they actually went that route.
But that's the question: is that the same MTX system? So if they decide or not, right? They go with that, like we're not bringing it back. I would still see them adding back in loot boxes with skins and calling it something else.
But then what do you do about star cards? Because that's such a big part of the game.
Well, right now, if you leave it the way it is, there's very few people who had a chance to purchase star cards with real money. You know, it was a few people week 1, and that's it. Or week 1 and 2. So right now there's not a big pay-to-win divide because no one was given that window of opportunity to spend a lot of money on those things. You see what I'm saying?
Except for, I mean,
a few people.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's enough that it's unbalanced the game yet.
And maybe not, because more people are going to buy the game still with Christmas. People are going to get the game.
Well, and you're going to use crafting parts,
right?
Which we're all still getting to make star cards.
And you do get a daily crate, which is nice. Which you get stuff out of that. So I mean,
usually level 1 star cards.
Yeah,
but they're enough to upgrade your level by 1, your star card level per character. Right. So like earlier, I logged in and I just did my daily crate and I didn't play, and I got a Luke Skywalker crate and it pushed his star card level from 5 to 6. Okay. And once it hits 10, then I can equip a 3rd star card. And you're also like able to upgrade them more with your own crafting parts.
Gotcha.
So like right now, as shittily clunky as the system is, it's not pay to win. Just because the loot boxes are out for now.
Right.
So I'm just wondering if like that's their band-aid solution is, well, we pulled it out early enough that it didn't unbalance the game.
And maybe that could work, because then there is a lot of potential just to play the game, and you can do challenges to earn crates. You can do stuff like that, which is cool, which should have been the idea behind it in the first place, I think, because you use those challenges to earn veteran loot boxes, to earn just regular loot boxes, to earn 500 credits. Like, that's how you should be motivated to play the game and not spend money. And so I think that taking it out is a good place to start. And I think that's also been a little inspired by Chris Lee, who we were going to talk about a little bit too.
Yeah, the Hawaii State Representative.
Yes.
Who a lot of people have been talking about him. He's now pushing this anti-gambling bill. So it's like against loot boxes and other percentage-based purchases in video games where you don't know what you're getting. And his thing is not that this shouldn't be allowed for anyone. It's that it's encouraging children spending money on percentage chances to win something, which by its very definition is gambling. It's just that the video game industry does not want to admit that it is that.
Right.
And then you have the I think we talked about this before. It was in a video quite a while ago. It was before all this Battlefront 2 stuff about how ESRB is actually run mostly by people who have a vested interest in the gaming industry. CEOs, CFOs, people who make money off of games. So for them to pick something that is not the most profitable definition to go with for gaming is not in their best interest. So you see the problem with when the ESRB comes out and says, no, we don't think loot boxes are gambling. Well, sure you don't. I mean, like, you're going to make money off those things.
Right.
And the loot box and microtransaction system has added billions to the worth of the video game industry. Why would you consider it that?
Well, and that's what we talked about a little bit too, is that they've distanced themselves from like the government and much regulation from that. Not that we're saying that they have to be like mightily regulated, but they've got
no, and neither of us is super pro regulation of anything.
Right.
Like we are and we aren't. I think you and I are both, like, I'm a little bit more for regulation of economic things.
Yeah.
But I would say we're both pretty moderate on that.
Definitely.
I think that's worth addressing so that people don't say like, well, you guys are super for or against regulation. It's like, no, I think we're for common sense regulation.
And this is mainly just focusing on the video game industry. And if you're going to have a way to regulate yourselves, then regulate yourselves. And that's not happening. And this is a big example of like why this game was received the way that it was, is because it wasn't checked. There was no checks and balances with this.
Yeah, and the ESRB was created to avoid censorship and avoid government law rating, because like it was created when there was like this time where Mortal Kombat, it was like, well, kids shouldn't be able to buy this. And granted, they probably shouldn't be able to, because it is pretty violent and dark for children. If you're a parent and you buy it and you allow your kid to play it, that's your parenting. You know what I mean?
Right.
You are deciding how to raise your kid, and no hate from me. That's your decision. That's just like if you're a kid who was allowed to watch RoboCop 1, you know, it was rated R. I'm not saying you turned out good or bad from it, but that was your parents' decision to let you do that thing. There was no police officer was coming into your house saying you can't.
No, yeah.
And that's the other thing, too. Like, even if these laws go through, right? Like, let's say this bill is passed in a couple of states. If your parent buys you the game, puts their credit card in, and gets microtransactions anyway, it'll still happen. But at the very least, then it's not encouraging what is essentially gambling for children.
And it'll be at a much lesser rate. And, yeah, it'll be basically discouraging that, which is huge because even he mentions it, too, is that these systems have been designed to attack people. And not all of them, but some of them have been designed to the point where the algorithm, like, feasts on people who are likely to spend more money.
And who have gambling addiction.
Yes.
Gambling is an addiction, too.
Absolutely.
People want to pretend, no, it's not. Because it's a, what would you say? It's a glamorous thing. Like, I mean, going to Vegas, playing slots, playing blackjack. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fun, but it's the thing you and I have said about everything, is everything in moderation.
Right.
Like, and there are people who live in Vegas or who will go there multiple days a year, blow thousands of dollars, and come back with no money, feeling, you know, like they lost everything. But they'll go back again.
Right.
You know? And people who go to the casinos locally like that, because they're broken people. They have a psychological problem. And for games to be created to feed off of that is a pretty nefarious thing.
It's pretty dark, honestly.
Oh, yeah. And that'll still happen. It's just that if this bill goes through, that would be directed at adults who at the very least have people around them who can help them if they think they need it. They have stable income, I would assume, so that if they want to blow $100 a week on microtransactions, they can. It's not their parents' credit card. You know, like, kids now have access to more resources than they've ever had. Money, phones, PayPal, eBay, and very little control because parents aren't watching as closely. And so these companies are coming in, and I don't want to say EA had this idea in mind, because maybe they didn't. But these companies are coming in thinking, how can we make the most money off everyone? And they don't really care what's best for you as a human being. They care about the bottom line, making money. So this is a real issue that how can you have the same people who only care about making money regulate something like this?
Right.
I don't see how you could. Because if you came to me, right, and I was making a lot of money off you and your family, and you said, yeah, I don't really like that, I'd be like, well, that's my money I'm making. What do you want me to do about it? You know, like, what investment do I have in cutting my pay? Or, like, if I'm your landlord and you come to me, it's like, yeah, I'd like to pay a little less to live here. Get out. Yeah. What do you want? Yeah. What incentive do I have to help you out as a human being?
That's a good point, because they have this product that people want, like Star Wars, for example. Product that people really want and want to be good. So they'll spend money on it to see if it's good, or because they love it so much that they'll just buy it anyways. Well, then, if you want to be good at the game, then, well, spend some money on it. So, and if you don't want to, well, then go find another Star Wars game. You're not going to find another one.
Yeah, because they're the only ones who can make it.
We're the only ones that have it.
You can play one from 2005, I guess. Good luck getting it to work on your computer. Yeah, the whole thing is very dark.
And that's the problem, I guess, I have with it too. And we've talked about it a lot, but I mean, that's just some of the updates that I thought that would be good to talk about too. And we thought that would be good to talk about because it's been a little bit since we talked about it, and stuff is still going on with it. And this is a game that we're both now. I wasn't for a while. I didn't get a day one by any means, but I just got it recently.
I wish I didn't get a day
one. I know. But like we're both invested in this game, and I wanted it to succeed so bad, and I wanted to see this go in a different direction.
Well, but here's the thing. I will say this as a consumer and Star Wars fan first, right? Give me loot boxes. I know this sounds insane to start a sentence
Whoa,
with that.
whoa.
Give me loot boxes with character customization options or skins in them. I will throw you money.
Yeah.
I'll buy some of those. Like, and I know this is not loot boxes, but like the skins that came out for Friday the 13th, I bought those because I liked the developer. I liked what they put out.
And you don't need to buy them.
No, it's my choice. I can spend my money how I want.
And that's what I think. Honestly, I think they would still make, maybe not as much, but they'd make a ton of money still just with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just, here's the Clone Wars Anakin, skin.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Well, yeah, they could even do that for Vader.
Right.
Like I know that was another thing. I don't want to get too much into this because I would like to make another video about characters we want to see show up in this game. But one thing that they've talked about is putting like Anakin in the game.
Right.
And like this was in a leaked character roster that there was no confirmation on, so I don't know. It's more rumor than anything. But like technically, if you wanted to do skins, you could just be like, oh, all right, so Luke Skywalker is a character, right? So let's like create 3 skins for him. We'll do his Return of the Jedi is the skin that he has. We'll do old Luke from 7 and 8. That'll be a skin. We don't need to add a character. That's just a skin.
Just leave it at that, yeah.
We'll do a skin for Luke on Hoth in episode 5. You know, when he's I was thinking about 4 because you could also do the one when he first gets the lightsaber.
Yeah.
But you could do the one from 5 for Hoth and do one from like 4 for like him when he's first, introduced to the Force by Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
And you now have 3 skins to throw in a loot box. You create 3 skins for every single hero that's in the game. People will buy these loot boxes.
And and you made it super hard just to originally. It was super, super hard to unlock Luke and Darth. Then make it and it was like, oh, well, it's super rewarding. We want to make it super rewarding for these people to get Darth and Luke. Make it rewarding to get these skins. So say you have to get 1,000 kills, just hypothetically. You have to get 1,000 kills with Luke Skywalker to get his Hoth skin.
So you're saying you could add in skins, like you could have loot box exclusive skins, but then have a couple of skins that are just in the base game that you unlock through milestones.
That you have to work for.
Yeah, I'd be down for that
and motivate for that, because then you have a reason to play, because it's like, well, episode 5 Luke is my favorite Luke. I'm going to get 1,000 kills with them and then get that skin, and it'll be the coolest thing ever. Because not everyone's going to have that. Because you have to work really hard to get it, so it's rewarding, but you're still playing with Luke the whole time.
And then if you want to spend, $5 on loot boxes, there could be other ones to get. Like episode 4 Luke, or, like Luke from the comics. Like they've been doing Star Wars comics through Marvel, through Disney.
I'd be fine with that.
There's plenty of stuff you could do here.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm a little against is like if you ever put heroes behind something like a loot box, I would not be very fine with that. But like the cosmetic stuff, neither of us have ever really had a problem with.
No, and it's fine because games are still $60, and yes, that's a lot of money, but they should be higher as far as
they should be
because of production and everything like that, and they still make a lot of money.
Devaluation in America,
right? And I think like letting the game industry still make their money, but not making it required for you to be good at the game. Like you can earn these cool, because like Star Wars is such a deep universe. Work with that content and make it fun and make it something that people have to work for and enjoy instead of work for it to be good.
And a subscriber also pointed out to me that while we talk about how games are still $60, other countries they're more.
Really? I didn't know that.
So like Australia, they're paying over $100 per base game.
Jeez.
And I'm not just talking Australian dollars. I mean, they're paying the equivalent of over $100
Wow.
to get a game. So like gaming companies can say, well, we need this because games are still $60, and they are in America, but they're not everywhere. So like maybe if you unilaterally even this out a little bit somehow, I don't know. Because part of the Australian thing is also tariffs and taxes to bring these products in. So the government is charging tariffs, which adds to the costs. But like part of it is also just the fact that gaming companies know that they can charge more in certain countries than others, and people will pay it. Whereas I feel like in America, where people are kind of cheap, like with some things, I think they're afraid to do that. Personally, I would rather pay a clean $70 for a game that I know is just a 100%
full game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than $60 plus loot boxes. But that's you know.
Well, if you think about it, though, we are paying the full $100 to get a lot of full games now.
Yeah, if you buy the season pass.
Right.
And then you're paying more than that if you buy the loot boxes, too.
Exactly, yeah.
But then someone in Australia is paying the $100 plus the $40 or $50 season pass plus loot boxes, so it's like can add up to be $200 for a video game. Yeah. I don't know, it's just like, I'm wondering if this is becoming a hobby directed at people outside of our income range. A little bit.
It's moving past like the college student playing video games and almost past that is kind of what it's
almost
like,
past middle class.
Yeah.
Because like I know even people who still haven't bought a next gen system, which is now a current gen system,
right? Who
play on like PS3 or Xbox 360 still. There's actually a pretty sizable market that does that. Because some people don't think they can afford this stuff. And I understand that that's how the world works. The world isn't fair, but you want, as a creator, you want to target every demographic that you can. And so if it is hitting the point where some of these practices are also pushing people away, I understand that there was a bit of a controversy when someone came out and said, like, well, so far, and this was also a games analyst, he had said that about 3 weeks ago that loot boxes don't actually affect game sales. And that was the case up to that point. But you look at these, like, to just bring it full circle, the Battlefront 2 sales. They were clearly affected by something.
Yes.
What else were they affected by?
Big time, too. I mean, there were 500,000, like we said at the beginning, 500,000 below their estimates.
Yeah. 300,000 to 500,000. Somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, that's a pretty big effect. And so if you're pushing these people away who are either middle class or who are just, no matter the income level, gamers who care about getting what they pay for, that's not a good look, and that's not a good thing to do to the market.
No.
And I think it'll have lasting repercussions on how people see these companies.
Oh, yes. And I think, well, that's what's happened with EA. I mean, case in point. I mean, EA has an image now, and they already did before this game launched, and I think that's why people were concerned with them getting this license for Star Wars. And then, I mean, they really, now EA has got this reputation universally as a greedy, money-focused company. And I mean, the thing is, and people have talked about it a lot, but I got Battlefront 2 recently, like within the last week or two.
You got it on sale also.
Yeah, for really, $40.
It was like $40,
yeah,
right?
$20 off. I really enjoy the gameplay. Like, and DICE did a really good job. Because I love the gameplay, it's fun, and I have a really good time with it. But when you bring in EA's name on there, you bring in their business practices, that their reputation precedes them. And so that's become obvious, and that's become, like you said, like, it's affecting companies and their images now.
Well, it's also sad that DICE's work needs to be tarnished by being under the thumb of EA.
Because they genuinely created an unbelievable experience in a lot of these modes. I mean, like, audio-wise, visually, it's really fun.
And people have had enough of this, too. There was recently a petition of over a couple 100,000 people signed to send to Disney to have them remove the Star Wars license from EA.
I'd be totally fine with that. I really would.
Yeah. But it's pretty insane. And I know Disney loves money, too.
Right.
That's pretty clear. And they are a profit company. It's not like they're doing what they do for charity.
Right.
But I also don't think it would be good to have the Star Wars brand be continually dragged through the mud. Like, if you're going to leave EA with this can't happen again.
No.
And the Star Wars brand could survive it happening again. And I know it would, because there's also so many Star Wars fans that don't play video games, actually.
Right.
That just watch the movies and watch the shows. Like, my brother, he does not play video games, like, ever. He'll play a couple games a year with me, like, specifically, and they're, like, old arcade games we'll play together. Like, remasters and stuff, and that's it. So, like, it's just, like, a couple times a year, play a game. No Star Wars games, nothing like that. But he'll watch all the movies. He's watched all the animated shows. He's, like, literally up to date on Rebels to the point where he's watching them as they come out on Disney XD. So he's like a hardcore Star Wars fan who's like didn't know anything about this game. He just said, like, yeah, I heard there was a new Star Wars game out. He said that to me like a week ago.
Jeez.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people outside of this industry and outside of our what we enjoy don't pay attention to this stuff. So I'm sure the brand could survive it, but I don't think it's good with the amount of crossover you have between gamers and Star Wars fans to drag that group of people through the mud with the brand.
Again.
Yeah, again.
If it were to happen
for the
again.
third time.
Yes.
Because it happened once where people really did not appreciate one.
There just wasn't enough content.
Yeah, and you and I found it to be a fun distraction.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
And then now with the controversy behind 2.
You have the content, but you have bad business.
Yeah.
So then what is... I mean... And obviously 3 would be a long ways away. We shouldn't even really be talking about Star Wars 3.
No, but if there's another big Star Wars game controversy like this within the next 2 years, people are going to lose respect for the Star Wars brand of games at the very least.
Yes.
For a while. And I'm sure that they would come back from it because there was a period in the 2000s where Star Wars games were kind of ass. And they pulled out of that eventually. But it was an understood... Yeah, Star Wars games are not very good right now. They're kind of pumping them out to try to make money off of the prequels. And fans knew that.
Yeah.
And eventually they came back from it, but it stained the video game brand of Star Wars for a little while. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see, like, the fallout of all this. How far Chris Lee's pushes get, for making this bill. And if they manage to even, 10 states, let's say 10 states pass these laws... Well, that's 10 whole states you can't sell this game to children in.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
How would the gaming industry react to that? I don't think they would just say, well, we're not selling in 10 states.
No.
Because that's a huge portion of people.
I think it would, and I think it would keep momentum. I don't think it would just stop at 10. Because then people, 10...
But I
12,
could see
20.
the more conservative states not going for this because they're usually more in the favor of corporations.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, even if you get the more liberal states going with this and passing laws
still a big
relating
market
to this, that's a huge portion of people just gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll have to see how this all plays out. I know we talk about Battlefront 2 a lot, but a lot of times games will come around where it's like we care about this game and want it to be better and just want to talk to people about it. And it's really interesting to see what you guys have to say about it too, because I was kind of blown away by how many of you commented on our last Battlefront 2 video, and I try to get back to at least most of the comments, that are reasonable, level-headed people. Occasionally we come across some that are not, that I'm just like, okay, maybe we'll just let that simmer a little bit. But I do like hearing what everybody has to say, so thank you very much for the support on that. And that's all I gotta say about this. How about you?
That's it.
All right.
I think we exercised our demons.
Yeah, we did. We definitely did that. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.